Hoop session number 2. We in here getting it in. Get ready. What we doing, man?
We running the court. They got a bomb squad.
And they still lost.
Look, Trey on the thing.
This story, I said it before, but I'm gonna say it again. I was in the gym. I want to say I was getting ready for Chris Diaz or something. And he was sparring like a heavyweight fighter. I'm looking, I'm type nervous for him. I'm like, why is he in the ring with this big old dude? And man, I swear he done caught this dude on the chin. Boom! Dude, wobbling all.
Crawford has just dropped a new training video ahead of his clash with Canelo, and it's obvious, he's not treating this like just another fight. His time trainer, Bomac, made that clear by revealing a major move in camp. They've brought in a serious weapon. Enter Lester Martinez, a powerful, dangerous fighter who not only matches Canelo's size but brings real heat. Martinez recently handed Johan James his first ever loss with a dominant 4th-round knockout, showcasing both speed and power. That's exactly why Bomac has him pushing Crawford to the edge in every sparring session.
Kid, man, nobody really heard about him. Some of them heard about him. But his name is Lester Martinez, man. He's from Guatemala. And man, that boy bad as shit. I tell you, 168 pounds, he bad as shit. He got a couple world championships, 168 pounds.
Martinez is a natural super middleweight, the same division Canelo has ruled for years. Meanwhile, Crawford has never stepped into the ring at 168. He dominated at 140, reigned supreme at 147, and made a brief appearance at 154. But now, he's skipping the gradual climb and diving straight into the deep end against one of boxing's all-time greats. Canelo has held the throne for years, brushing off the power of much bigger men. He's faced more raw strength than Crawford has ever encountered. But none of that phases Crawford, or his trainer, Bomac.
That believes in hardcore boxing fans, they know Crawford can beat Canelo just like they knew Bud was going to beat Spence. This is real simple. It's real simple. You just got to know boxing in order for you to be able to say that. Hey, Terry's going to get in there and do what he needs to do. Perform.
Bomac didn't dance around the obvious when asked about the size difference. He acknowledged it, but immediately downplayed its importance. "No, I'm not worried about size," he said. "Terence has a great eye for boxing and a great boxing IQ. The only person who can beat Terence is himself." That level of belief has always defined Crawford's camp. But this time, it's going to be tested like never before. Facing a naturally bigger and more experienced fighter like Canelo, Crawford's mental edge and skill will need to be flawless. Still, Bomac remains calm. He admits worry is natural in a fight of this magnitude, but it's not what drives him. What drives him is knowing exactly who Crawford is, what he fights for, and how badly he wants to prove the doubters, and history, wrong by doing what no one else has.
That the size and the strength of Canelo Alvarez will carry the day, ultimately wearing the perceivably smaller Terence Crawford down. What do you say about that?
I tell you like this, the man must have seen something when he called Canelo out, because you got to remember, Bud called Canelo out. So he must see something in order for him to get that win, and he know he can win. So like I said before, it's our job to get him to that point.
Crawford is chasing a milestone no fighter in this era has touched, undisputed championships in 3 different weight classes. He's already conquered 140. He repeated the feat at 147 with a dominant performance against Errol Spence Jr., dropping and stopping a previously undefeated, unified champion. Now, he's jumping straight to 168, not for a tune-up, but to face the king of the division, Canelo Alvarez. There's no easing into super middleweight here. When asked if this is Crawford's toughest challenge yet, Bomac didn't blink. "Oh yeah. Just look at what Canelo's accomplished."
Speed over Canelo. I got the reach over him. He might got the size, the power. I got the better skills, boxing skills.
Would it be more of a cat and mouse? The reality is Canelo does put people out, from Kirkland to Amir Khan to just...
Don't do
obviously,
I'm just saying, man.
No.
That one sentence captures the deep respect Crawford's team has for Canelo, a fighter whose experience, championship pedigree, and resume, stacked with names like Golovkin, Kovalev, Plant, Smith, and Saunders, shows he's conquered some of the most feared competitors across several weight classes.
Triple G on Bud's resume. There's no Trout on Bud's resume. There's no Daniel Jacobs on Bud's resume. Canelo is the one that's fought the elite level opposition. It's Canelo that fought Laura. There is no Laura on Bud's resume. There is no Laura on Bud's resume. Bud has never faced a multiple division champ. Bud has never faced a multiple division champ.
Yeah, but Bud is an elite boxer.
So you're an elite boxer, but you haven't.
That kind of experience brings more than just skill and toughness, it brings composure and timing. Canelo knows how to dictate the pace of a fight, conserve energy, pick his moments, and make his opponents feel his pressure even in silence.
I'm not going in there looking to knock Canelo out. Could it happen? Yes, absolutely. You know, when I look at Canelo, he's a smaller, bigger guy moving up in divisions. You know, being that these big guys is slower, so they might catch him with something, but he might see it at the last moment. You know, they might catch him with a hard shot, but he's able to roll.
That same composure was something Dmitry Bivol highlighted in his analysis. The Russian light heavyweight, one of only 2 men to defeat Canelo, was ringside for Canelo's recent win over Munguia and weighed in on the potential clash. Speaking to Fight Hub TV, Bivol pointed out that Crawford's mentality could be the difference maker. He praised Crawford's champion mindset, saying that it's what makes this matchup truly unique.
TV with Terence Crawford. What do you make of Canelo versus Skull?
Canelo did what he had to do to get the victory.
What do you want next? It seems like that's going to be the fight. Terence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez, the biggest fight in boxing.
Well, Canelo's the face of boxing. He's the best fighter for Terence Crawford out there. He's the biggest fight for Terence.
In the fight against Munguia, Bivol noted that Canelo was in full control of the pace, resting when he wanted, engaging when it suited him. But Bivol expects a very different dynamic against Crawford. There won't be easy breaks. No controlling the tempo without pushback. Crawford won't let Canelo dictate the terms so freely. And coming from someone who's been in the ring with Canelo, that insight carries real weight.
Let Canelo just walking on the ring when he wants. Because we could see this fight, Canelo did everything. When he wanna rest, he could rest easy, in this fight. Yeah, of course, when he wants to work, that guy didn't give him work. Just rest.
And
I think with Crawford, it will be harder to rest.
Still, Crawford isn't Bivol. He's not a natural 175-pounder. He started at 135 and built his frame over years of disciplined growth. Now, jumping to 168, he's entering a world where opponents can absorb shots that used to floor welterweights. For Crawford to succeed, his timing, footwork, and adaptability all need to rise with him. He must generate enough power to command respect without losing the speed and precision that define him. That delicate balance is the core focus of this camp, and it's exactly what Lester Martinez is there to replicate.
I mean, I respect that, but I just think they're stupid. I mean, excuse my language. The size difference of a bigger man changes everything with one punch. And I can see the same thing. I mean, you saw Canelo Alvarez fighting Amir Khan. Now, look at this. Terence Crawford moved from 47 to 54 to fight Madrimov. What did he do to Madrimov? Nothing.
The fight will be promoted by Dana White under the new TKO banner, a collaboration between White and Saudi boxing official Turki Alalchik. This marks White's first foray into boxing promotion since the launch of TKO, and he's stepping in on a massive scale. The event will take place at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas on September 12th, under the Riyadh season banner. Alalchik has called it the fight of the century, and teased major TV platform announcements coming soon. More than just a title bout, this event is shaping up to be a crossover moment for boxing, a spectacle designed to unite diverse audiences, featuring 2 fighters renowned for their elite skills and immense name recognition.
Secret, if he allowed me, ask him which the first event fight he will have in September. Ask him if you want to answer.
So is Turki Alalchik and Dana White clearly stating that the first main event / card we're going to see of TKO boxing is Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford. Is this all a part of Trick Al-Sheik's blueprint for Canelo Alvarez to fight for undisputed in May?
There are even rumors circulating among fans that this fight could be streamed live on Netflix. Al-Sheik made the matchup possible after ongoing public demands and likely high-level negotiations behind the scenes. Initially, Canelo had dismissed the idea of facing Crawford, viewing it as a lose-lose situation due to the size difference. Beating a smaller fighter would invite criticism, while losing could damage his reputation. However, that stance shifted once Al-Sheik intervened. Canelo explained, "Everybody is asking for the fight. My manager, Turki Al-Sheik, wants it. So that's why we're here."
Fighters who will fight you in the future, obviously not Crawford, but with that kind of mindset, they just want to last the distance.
That's a mediocre mind. That's a mediocre mind because they come just to survive, to go to the 12 round.
For Crawford, the motivation isn't about money or promotion. After Canelo's win over Skull, he was clear about his mindset. "I'm feeling blessed," he said. "Everything happens for a reason, and there's a reason why I'm here." For Crawford, it's not just a slogan, it's a belief system. He's always been self-assured and focused and only speaks when necessary. When asked why he believes he can dethrone Canelo, he answered with the same tone that has defined his career, "Because I am the best." That's why everyone is going to come and watch on September 12th. Canelo, in turn, gave a respectful nod.
That's 2 more weight classes. Like, once he gets touched by Canelo, it's going to be different.
I am concerned about him absorbing a Canelo punch, especially through the course of 12 rounds. We do know this about Canelo. He's going to slow down, so I think if anything, Canelo would try to start fast and bang on him and break him down before he gets later, and he's still got that kind of steam. But, there's so many components that make a champion. There's so many components that make a...
Crawford is one of the best out there, Canelo acknowledged. And I like to share the ring with that kind of fighter. For someone like Alvarez, who has faced legends from Shane Mosley to Floyd Mayweather to Gennady Golovkin, that statement carries weight. The admiration is mutual, but the fight is still very real. McIntyre, Crawford's trainer, also admitted that this could be Crawford's final fight. At nearly 38, with titles across multiple divisions and nothing left to prove, retiring on top could be the perfect way to go out. "Yeah, it probably could," Bomac said, without hesitation.
I can see him doing it, Is it a challenge for him? Yeah, of course. It's a challenge for the whole team? Yeah, of course. And that's something that we in the business for, being great. I mean, we can retire from that after that. You know what I'm saying? We can retire after that, and we just sit back and do what you're doing.
This is the culmination of something years in the making. A win would place Crawford at the pinnacle of modern boxing history, undisputed in 135, 140, 147, and 168. No one else has accomplished that in this era, not since the WBO was officially recognized alongside the WBC, WBA, and IBF. Only Usyk and Inoue have come close, but neither has attempted what Crawford is about to. While Alvarez cruised to a unanimous decision over Scully, the real story was the lack of intensity in a bout many expected to be far more explosive.
Is Canelo waiting you out, avoiding you? How would you describe the fact that you haven't fought him yet?
To be honest with you, I don't know what that man is doing. I feel like every time I say something, people try to say that, oh, I'm looking for a payday, I'm doing for this and that, but I've been the mandatory fighter for the past 2 years. I won a title eliminator first, and I won the WBC interim, and that guarantees you a spot. So the fact that this fight hasn't happened is really crazy to me, but...
Throughout the fight, Skull adopted a cautious, highly evasive strategy, constantly circling the ring and avoiding any meaningful exchanges. He was excessively defensive, focusing solely on evading punishment rather than mounting any offensive threat. Canelo, on his part, repeatedly tried to close the distance, cut off the ring, and land significant punches but struggled to trap Skull for any extended periods. The fight turned into a repetitive cycle, Skull retreating while Canelo pressed forward, with few moments of excitement or sustained action. It became a frustrating watch for fans expecting fireworks, especially given the high stakes and platform.
It was absolutely crap, load of rubbish. The fight really was a waste of time.
If you haven't watched it, don't watch it, because there's better things you can be doing, like probably watching the grass grow or watching some paint dry maybe. But that fight was a total waste of time. Watching that as a former unified super middleweight world boxing champion and Hall of Famer, I was thinking to myself, what an opportunity you've got there. If I was fighting still 10 years ago, if that opportunity came up for me, I know...
Clarissa Shields didn't hold back in her criticism, pointing out what many fans felt while watching the event unfold. She emphasized that both fighters shared responsibility for the lackluster showing. Shields, a two-time Olympic gold medalist and one of boxing's most respected voices, stressed that it is the aggressive fighter's job to cut off the ring and force exchanges. It's both fighters' fault, she said. When you're against a runner, cut the ring off. Her comments added a layer of professional insight, reflecting the frustrations of many, especially those who spent money expecting a thrilling fight but got a chase instead. Oscar de la Hoya, never one to miss an opportunity to criticize Canelo, also weighed in. He accused Alvarez of handpicking an opponent who he knew would avoid engagement. You're getting paid all this money to fight against a runner who we all knew was going to run a Cuban style. You chose him, and now you say you hate fighting runners, de la Hoya said. It was a direct shot at Canelo's decision-making and a reminder of the growing sentiment that Alvarez has strategically avoided certain high-risk opponents in recent years.
Canelo, Jesus Lord, come on. You're getting paid all this money to fight against a runner who we all knew was gonna run, the Cuban style. You chose him, and now you say you hate fighting runners? Well then, don't fight runners. We all know who we want to see you in.
However, the situation with William Skull wasn't entirely of Canelo's making. The fight became necessary after Alvarez was stripped of his IBF title for refusing to face Skull previously. Skull later claimed the vacant belt, meaning if Canelo wanted to regain undisputed status, he had no choice but to face the Cuban-born fighter. It was a mandated bout, not a cherry-picked payday, and that context is important in the broader conversation. Still, the optics were unfortunate. Canelo had a golden opportunity to showcase his dominance and momentum heading into a highly anticipated super fight with Crawford, but instead, he walked away with a win that felt more like a placeholder than a statement. Oscar de la Hoya, continuing his campaign of criticism, offered a different path that many believe Canelo should have taken. We all know who we want to see you fight against, he said, referring to David Benavidez. Go up against Benavidez. Fight Benavidez. He won't run. This sentiment reflects the long-standing call from fans for Canelo to face the younger, undefeated Benavidez, a hungry contender known for his pressure, volume punching, and aggression. It's the kind of matchup that would leave little room for evasion or tactical retreat, something Canelo's recent opponents have been accused of repeatedly. De La Hoya didn't stop there. He questioned the state of the sport, saying, "It's a good fight, but it's sad. You know, it starts from the top two." He pointed to broader promotional and matchmaking decisions that steer fighters away from genuine challenges.
A good little man has never beaten a good big man in the history of the game, unless you go back to certain situations with Pacquiao beat me, but I was a dead man walking anyway. But a good little man never beats a good big man, so it's a tough test for Crawford, but I'm not counting him out. The bottom line, this is the truth again, it's a money grab. That's it. Yeah.
As all this unfolds, the spotlight now shifts to what is expected to be a blockbuster showdown, Canelo versus Crawford. The fight has already garnered attention across the sport, and boxing legend Julio Cesar Chavez, one of Mexico's most iconic fighters, weighed in with a bold prediction. Speaking to Fight Hub TV, Chavez confidently predicted a knockout victory for Canelo, suggesting that Crawford would be out of his depth at 168 pounds. "It's really an uneven fight," he said. "Crawford is a great fighter, but Canelo is out of his league. Crawford is going for the money, and Canelo is going to knock him out." Chavez's comments sparked widespread discussion, especially considering Crawford's dominant performances at 147 and 154, including his decisive victory over Errol Spence Jr. However, jumping up multiple weight classes to face a seasoned, naturally bigger fighter like Canelo introduces new challenges that many believe will be too much for Crawford to handle.
Talk all the crazy stuff about me going up and having a tough time, but He went up in weight and lost. That's the difference. I went up weight and won. He went up and lost. You know, so let's not do that.
Teofimo Lopez, another rising star in boxing, shared his own thoughts when speaking to ES News. He acknowledged that Crawford might have some early success but ultimately believed Canelo's power and adaptability would prevail. I think Crawford is going to give Canelo a hard time in the beginning, but once Canelo gets comfortable in the ring and adapts to Crawford's style, we'll see Canelo finish him off in the late rounds, Lopez said. Lopez's perspective adds a layer of nuance to the discussion. While he respects Crawford's skill, he believes Canelo's size and experience advantages will prove decisive once the fight settles into the later rounds.
Decision or stoppage if they fight in May, Canelo and Crawford?
Decision or...
And why does Canelo beat him, you know, before you get out of it?
Listen, we can have the skills and everything, but jumping that much like that, jumping like that much, getting hit, I don't think Crawford's ever fought a fighter that's hit him directly, just straight, constantly in the arms. And it's not because they can't, they don't think that way.
Appreciate you.
Gotta clear it out, guys. Remember, this man's been pro since what?
However, not everyone shares that view. Former heavyweight champion Shannon Briggs offered a bold and polar opposite prediction, stating that Terence Crawford would not only win but stop Canelo. I got Crawford by stoppage. Brutal stoppage, Briggs declared to the press. I'm telling you, Crawford by stoppage. Betting $100,000, I might make a little bit of bread. While Briggs' prediction is certainly brash, it reflects a growing belief among some boxing fans and insiders that Crawford's skills, particularly his ability to make mid-fight adjustments and land with precision, could shock the world, even against a naturally bigger fighter like Canelo. What's your take on the fight? Share your thoughts below and